In this video, we will discuss at least 50 short questions from Henrik Ibsen's famous play A Doll's House. What is the actual Norwegian title of the play A Doll's House? The Norwegian title of the play A Doll's House is Edukajum. What did the porter carry in the beginning of the play? The porter in the beginning of the play carried a Christmas tree and a basket. What is the name of the maid working in Helmer's house? The maid working in Helmer's house is named Helen. How much money did the porter ask for carrying the objects? The porter asked for a shilling for carrying the objects. How much money did Nora pay the porter with? Nora paid the porter with £1. What was the thing Nora was secretly eating from Torvald? It was macaroons that Nora was secretly eating from Torvald. A home that is found on debt and borrowing can never be a place of freedom and beauty. From which text is this phrase taken from? And who said this? This above phrase is taken from Henrik Ibsen's play A Doll's House, and Torvald told this to Nora. What things Nora brought in for her children from the market? Nora brought in new clothes and sword for Ivor, a horse and trumpet for Bob, and a doll and a cradle for Emmy. Who is Dr. Rank in A Doll's House? Dr. Rank is more of a friend than a family doctor with Torvald and Nora. Who was Mrs. Linde? Mrs. Linde was Nora's childhood friend. How many years ago did Christine Linde become widow? It's been 3 years since Mrs. Christine became widow. Name the nurse of Nora's children. The nurse engaged for Nora's children is named Anne Mary. To what post did Torvald get a promotion with? Torvald has become the vice president of the bank. How much money did Nora borrow to take her husband to Italy? Nora borrowed £250 to take her husband to Italy. Why did Mrs. Linde marry her husband? Mrs. Linde's mother was sick and helpless, and she had 2 little brothers to take care of, and that's why she couldn't say no to the marriage. How did Mrs. Linde take care of her living after her husband? Mrs. Linde started a little shop and a little school after her husband died. When does Nora think she will tell Torvald about the forgery? Nora thinks that she will inform her husband about the forgery she has made when she will get old. Who was the person Mrs. Linde loved before her marriage? The person Mrs. Linde loved before her marriage was Niels Krogstad. Who is the person Nora borrowed the money from? Nora borrowed the money from Niels Krogstad. What game did Nora play with her children after they returned from the outside? Nora played hide and seek with her children after they returned from the outside. On which day did Nora's father die? Nora's father died on 29 September. When was A Doll's House first published? A Doll's House was first published in 1879. What is the setting of the play? The setting of the play is the Helmer's house in Norway. Who is the protagonist of the play? The protagonist of the play A Doll's House is Nora Helmer. Who is the antagonist of the play A Doll's House? Niels Krogstad is the antagonist of the play A Doll's House. What is the central conflict of the play? Nora's struggle for self-identity and independence is the central conflict of the play. Who is Nora's husband? The name of Nora's husband is Torvald Helmer. What is the significance of the title A Doll's House? The title symbolizes Nora's role as a player in her marriage. Who is Krogstad and how is he connected to? Croxted is a bank employee as well as Torvald's childhood friend who lent Nora the money. What is the secret Nora is hiding from her husband? The secret Nora was hiding from her husband was that she borrowed money to save Torvald's life. What are the adjectives that Torvald used to call Nora? Torvald used to call Nora by skylark, spent songbird, etc. How does Torvald react to the idea? Torvald is extremely critical and despises debt. What is the significance of macaroons in the play? The macaroons here in the play symbolizes Nora's rebellious and secret nature. What is the role of Dr. Rank in the play? Dr. Rank is a family friend who is in love, though Nora doesn't consider him as a lover. What does Nora's dance, the Tarantella dance, represent? The Tarantella dance represents her manipulation of Torvald and her desperation. What is the significance of the Christmas tree in the play? The Christmas tree represents the facade of happiness in the Helmers household. How does the play end for Nora? Nora decides to leave her family in search of independence in the end of the play. What does the play A Doll's House suggest about gender roles in the 19th? The play critiques the restrictive and oppressive gender roles of the time. What does Torvald value most? He values obedience and in a woman. How does Croxted try to blackmail? Croxted threatens to reveal her secret loan forgery to her husband, and in this way he tries to threaten Nora. What is the major turning point? Croxted's blackmail is the major turning point of the play. What is the role of symbolism in the play? Symbolism is used to convey hidden meanings and emotions in the play. How does Nora's father's influence affect her personality? Nora was raised to be a pleaser and not to think father, just like her father. How does Torvald react to Nora's Tarantella? Torvald is delighted and amused, seeing it as an expression of love. How does Torvald handle the crisis of Croxted? Torvald becomes extremely angry and self-centered, prioritizing his own and criticism. What does Torvald's reaction to Croxted's letter reveal about his character? It exposes his and egotistical nature. What is the significance of the door slamming at the end? The door slamming at the end of the play represents Nora's final act of asserting her independence. What is the exact final message of the test? In the end, the play suggests the need for individual self-liberation. What is the significance of the children? The children in the play represent the illusion of perfect family life. What is the miraculous thing that Nora wishes her husband to do? Nora wishes that, even if her husband comes to know about her forgery, he will take the responsibility upon himself, and at that moment, she will emerge like an ideal wife to save her husband. When A Doll's House was published, which era was going on? During that time, Victorian period was going on.